hear me?
Yes, and we can see. Have you put something up on the screen? Have you?
Yeah, I'm just going to share my screen with it.
We can see it. Yep.
Great. I'd like to speak to you guys today about landholders. I believe that the landholders impacted by coal seam gas are the invisible stakeholders in this process. My name's Shay Dougall. I'm an advocate and a consultant for landholders, both hosts and neighbours, to assist the industry. I'm a resident of Chinchilla. I've completed my master's recently, had my paper published, and I'm commencing my PhD at the moment on the topic of OHS implications for farmers hosting unconventional gas. This is an image of my community as impacted by coal seam gas. The yellow triangles are coal seam gas wells. The black circles are farmers' stock water bores that are to be immediately or long-term impacted directly as a result of the industry. The pink circle in the top there is the excavation caution zone from the link contamination incident, and the X's, the little X's, are the multiple large structure required, like compressor stations for the industry. The next slide shows you what was behind those yellow triangles that you can see very well, the red shading. That red shading is landholders' properties who have been purchased by multinational companies from this region. I've personally been immersed in the landholder end of unconventional gas experience, and I've engaged with this industry myself personally, but I've also assisted over 50 individual families who have also been expected to host the industry. I personally was also involved in the link contamination incident, and we experienced exactly how the strict conditions, robust regulation and adaptive management actually fails the people who are expected to live with it at the end of the day. All the 50 people, over all the people I've had the experience of engaging with this industry with, there's been a consistent theme in the land response to engaging with the industry. And I believe you have experienced this same evidence yourselves from the voices of perhaps hundreds of Australians who've presented to you guys over the last 7 days. What I've witnessed and what is empirically supported in the evidence in the peer-reviewed literature is that there is a devastating link between the host landholder and the neighbours' lived experience of the unconventional gas industry and their psychosocial health.
In fact, it is the government and industry policy and regulation that is the foundation of this problem. It is the way in which the government enables this industry that causes the issue. And this is the same policy and regulation that fails to consider and manage this very hidden problem. Your own assessment report shows you're replicating in New South Wales what is happening in Queensland. It's not working in Queensland. It's essential that the invisible stakeholders that are the landholders at the end of all of the decision making that is made without them have an opportunity to support their own protection of their own livelihoods and their families. In Queensland and in your report for New South Wales, there are presently unidentified exposures. This must be addressed to prevent future injuries, disease and fatalities for farmers expected to host this industry.
In your assessment report and your supporting documents, there's several assertions made. These have been meaningfully refuted by others. I won't go over them again, but I wanted to say that the real lived experience of the landholders hosting this industry in Queensland also meaningfully refutes those major assertions that are made in your assessment document. There's one particular item in those assertions that I would like to address, and that is the statement that this industry will provide an income for host landholders. I particularly take exception to that because these payments are in fact very specifically designed by the industry, not the landholders, as compensation for loss. And the foundation of that is actually inequitable, it's arbitrary, and it's that in your report to what the experience has been in Queensland for the landholders. It is evident that modelling and broad commitments just don't translate to the lived experience for the people expected to live with this industry. Upon reviewing your conditions and the reports that you commissioned and were supplied, there are hazards, risks and social impacts there that remain the same. They're the same gaps and failures in your arrangements that continue to cause problems for us in Queensland. You also fail to consider the very important issues that have been raised by the Queensland Audit Report on how the industry is managed by the government in Queensland. And I have detailed those in my submission.
If you could wrap up now, please, Shay.
Thank you. This is my final slide. When the gas industry and the government are talking about turning on this magical valve to get more gas, what needs to be understood is that the farmers are the place where this magical amount of gas is going to be taken from. And while that is happening, the farmers are getting an increased level of red and green tape to undertake their business. They also then need to accommodate another business who's having their red and green tape reduced. That actually reduces the protection for the landholders, and it means increased impacts on the farmers, removal of the resources that they need to undertake their business in order to boost some economic growth of another sector. I want to thank you for the opportunity to provide your submission. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation, Shay.